For the next 2 weeks, nonviolent felonies, 50% off. Yeah. Okay.
I'll take one.
Yeah, that's for you. 50% off. Yeah, all right, now we got some takers. There you are. Oh, yeah? Who else? 50% off.
50% off.
Dude, that's almost half.
Hey guys, Kiwi here. In this video, I'll be reviewing and recapping Season 5, Episode 2 of Better Call Saul 50% off, as we go through the episode and discuss our opinions on it. Warning of spoilers for everything in the show up to Episode 502, and let's jump right into this. So the episode picks up where the Magic Man montage left off in the first episode, when Saul's giving his 50% off deals to the remaining potential clients who never got their free burner phones. Such a funny shake my head moment with the druggie saying that 50% is almost half off, like, geez, these guys must write themselves. Anyways, we see a big montage of them pooking out, getting all kinds of messed up, drinking and driving, stealing some random stuff, just being predictable druggies. Thing is, they wouldn't have gotten all hyped up to do all of this if Saul wouldn't have ever put the idea in their head that he'd get them out of any legal trouble they'd find themselves in for half off. Like, half off, what does that even mean? Do they even know what his original fee is? Just like Kim warned Jimmy last episode, this promotion to get more customers actually motivated criminals to commit more crimes. When we see Kim and Jimmy getting ready in the morning, I find it funny how all of Jimmy's colorful shirts and ties are taking up a large portion of Kim's closet, but she probably just finds it to be annoying, and understandably so. She really seems like she's getting fed up with Jimmy's Saul business, as I'm not sure if she was really telling the truth that she'd be working late, or if she just said that as an excuse because she doesn't actually want to sit down and have a movie night with him just due to how uncomfortable all of this Saul Goodman business is making her. She helped him so much to get back to where he is, and she just feels like he isn't going down the best path that he could. He's purposely getting himself mixed up with criminals because it works for him. He wants to continue taking shortcuts and doing what he does best instead of being a straight-cut lawyer like everyone else. And a little fun fact is that this scene with Jimmy in the bedroom trying to juggle like 3 things while trying to be on the phone is actually what motivated his Bluetooth earpiece. Anyways, as it turns out, Jimmy wasn't going to go show Kim that he wanted to buy his office from Breaking Bad. That might come later on in the season once he's actually made some solid money from all these clients that he's trying to get through, or maybe once the Sandpiper money comes in, but anyways, he takes Kim to a low-key mansion. Now, for us Breaking Bad fans, is this a teaser of the house that Saul could have during Breaking Bad, or at least one like it? We never really saw Saul outside of his office, we never saw him at his house, so could this be his future home, or could he have a future home like this? Is it possible that Kim and Jimmy move into the same house, or a house just like it in the future? If they do, I feel like Kim will end up breaking up with him by the time that the Breaking Bad events occur, because when Jimmy goes into hiding at the end of Breaking Bad, he's not worrying about some girlfriend. He's just thinking about himself. He needs to get out of there. He needs to get a new identity. So Kim isn't in his life by the end of Breaking Bad. I'm not sure if she's even in his life at all during Breaking Bad, but it is possible that they could get a house or something in the future, and then maybe she moves out. Moving on, I love the courthouse hallway scene where Saul is preparing to speak to ADA Suzanne Erickson. While waiting for her, he encounters Petty with a prior guy, ADA Oakley, talks to a clerk and a client, changing the dates to Thursday, and within that time span, Oakley ends up walking out immediately after with just a completely different state of mind, surprised that Saul's client has a witness or something, so he agrees to compromise on a client that he just previously wouldn't budge on. Seems like Saul is just really turning some gears in this building, like he is just taking every shortcut he can. He's really trying to run through clients as quickly as he can, and at least for now, it's going well. Right when you think he's done all that he can while waiting for Suzanne, Howard shows up. Have you ever been in the middle of something and then you just get caught off guard seeing someone you used to know randomly show up? Well, I feel like that's what Saul is getting here when Howard recognizes him. He's thinking, great, someone that knew me from when I used to be known as Jimmy, as it reminds him of Chuck and everything that happened during that era of the show. Really feels like he just wants nothing to do with Howard, like he just has no interest in talking to him, but some of you guys have theorized that maybe Howard has the Sandpiper money to give him, so we'll just have to wait and see if we see more of Howard in episode 3. Anyways, what Jimmy does here next is just totally predictable knowing him, and I love it. So first he tries talking to Suzanne, who won't listen to him and just calls him out for trying to get through clients faster to get a quicker turnover, since he's just, getting back into the business. He wants to make the largest amount of profit in the shortest amount of time possible. But Saul, really wanting to get his hustle on, goes through with an elaborate scheme to get Suzanne and him stuck in an elevator together in order to trick her into going through all of their clients with him. He waits until she goes into the elevator alone and then walks in pretending to speak to someone on his Bluetooth earpiece, which I love seeing him use. He drives her crazy while practicing his monologue, and so she offers to go through their clients to pass the time. They get through, I think, only having 3 left, and then the elevator turns back on. Jimmy looks at his watch and states that they were stuck in there for 20 minutes, the same amount of time that he tried originally telling Suzanne that it would take to go through their clients when she first turned him down and called him out. From the second that Saul walked into that elevator with her, I knew that he'd have someone on the other side turn the elevator off in order to get them stuck there together so he could get what he wants. This is very reminiscent of the types of cons that Jimmy would do during the first 3 seasons, and I loved it. Finally, in this episode for Saul, he's walking down the street talking to clients with his earpiece, and then Nacho and his buddy roll up on him and insist that he gets in the car. First off, I just wanted to point out the amount of detail that the writers are putting into every piece of background dialogue. Whenever you hear Saul getting a call about a client, they usually end up actually being a thing. Like for example, when Jimmy is talking to Kim in the morning, he's getting constant calls for clients, and then right as she walks out the door, he gets a random call about a minivan. We actually speculated about that during my sneak peek breakdown, and as it turns out, it was a client that we hear Jimmy and Suzanne discuss in the elevator. Little things like that just help tie the episode together that much more, and I constantly appreciate the attention to detail that the show creators have for Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. Anyways, I predict more about what Saul and Nacho will be getting into during my 503 promo trailer and sneak peek breakdown, and we're gonna see the episode later today, so I'm just excited in general. But I do want to point out just how funny it is that Nacho doesn't let Saul bring the ice cream cone into the car, and he just kind of just drops it in just the most hilarious, just unconfident kind of demeanor about him as he's just low-key getting kidnapped by Nacho. And so as they drive away, we see the ice cream cone upside down, just perfectly on the ground in frame, and things like that are not only satisfying, but you could just bravo Vince the entire situation and be like, oh, it relates to how Saul and Kim were having ice cream last episode, and how everything was just hunky-dory, and everything's just great and sunshines, and now shit just hit the fan, and all the fun for Saul is over as he gets dragged into the cartel business again. Speaking of which, let's jump into the cartel side of things for episode 502. Now, in the trailers, we were wondering how Nacho would be woken up from someone but also jumping out the window at the same time, and that's because they aren't actually at the same place, and the trailer did a good job of hiding that. Tyrus and Victor, along with a few other men, wake up Nacho out of a dead sleep in his bed with some girl, and they just drag him out of his house into their vehicle. During this, we can hear Nacho say that he did everything right and that he switched the drugs like Gus asked. This is referring to Gus's BS excuse about Werner that he told Bolsa and Lalo last episode, and I love how they threw it in here. Gus's excuse was that Werner stole a bunch of drugs, so Gus replaced it with some street drugs that he bought, and then Lalo found out. The thing is, Gus knew that they would find out and that there would be some sort of confrontation because of it. He caused this in order to create this elaborate excuse for why Werner escaped and why they had to track him down and kill him for it. Gus even had Mike and the Germans working on something in the back as an excuse for the Superlab construction project to further prove his lie to be true to them. And I just love this little tidbit that Nacho was the one that switched the drugs so much, because after last episode, the only thing that I was left wondering was, how did the drugs Lalo found, how are they actually switched in the first place if it's just all BS from Gus? Like, how is that part of the story true? And this is how we find out. At some point, Gus must have had Nacho switch the regular good stuff with inferior drugs, causing Lalo to notice. So Nacho knew all of this and helped cause it, even though he was playing it off in the first episode. So Tyrus and Victor drive Nacho out to his father's shop where he's enjoying some after hours time with some friends. Victor goes in with a gun, Nacho starts to freak out, and this honestly had me here. I thought that Nacho's dad was going to die. I thought it might happen this season, but I was surprised it was happening this quickly, but I believed it as much as Nacho did. And damn, I gotta give some credit to Michael Mando's acting here, just the way that Nacho freaks out in the back seat. He's trying to stop Victor from getting out of the vehicle, and then the two men hold him back. it's just heartbreaking. I really felt for him in this moment. And then Gus gets in the vehicle and it becomes clear that this is just a threatening tactic to make sure that Nacho will be loyal for Gus over the Salamancas with whatever he needs him to do. It's just crazy because Nacho switched Hector's pills in order to escape the drug game and save his dad, but now his dad is in more danger than ever, literally moments away from being killed if Nacho says the wrong thing. Screw Gus for doing this. Thank you to the show for reminding us why we should hate him, adding another reason to the pile. Gus is an amazing character, amazing actor, don't get me wrong, but screw him for doing that, seriously. I guess you know that they're a good actor when they really make you hate their character, but I love this scene and I just can't stress that enough. Next up, Lalo visits Hector at his retirement home. If it wasn't already obvious to viewers that Lalo didn't believe Gus's lies last episode, this scene makes it all very clear. Lalo says to Hector what he couldn't to Gus or Bolsa, and I loved this scene as well. From Lalo pouring out some of Hector's drink and spiking it with the liquor, to Hector communicating with the bell, along with Lalo being able to just openly discuss everything with Hector and see how he's really feeling. These are both some amazing actors, and although it's just two guys casually talking, or rather one guy talking and the other one listening, I was incredibly interested in every single moment. I'm also just a big Lalo fanboy at this point, I think. I don't know, I've waited so long for his arrival. We've literally been speculating over the possibility of having a Lalo character in the show ever since like season 3 before it was confirmed, and he's finally here and it's great. Next up, we see two tweakers ordering 10 bags of drugs from the drug house, the drug apartment, the drug drain, and honestly, I thought that they were buying so much that we were about to go watch them OD, but they don't even end up getting the drugs as it gets stuck in the drain pipe. With their car blasting music, them banging against the side of the building, and them yelling back and forth with the dealer, I already felt like they should tone it down a notch, like the cops were gonna get called. The druggies probably didn't need that much, and the dealer could have handled it better. She could have gotten them to be more quiet and gone about it in a better way, cooperated to get the baggies out of the pipe. Hell, she just shouldn't have sent them all down at once in the first place. Meanwhile, Crazy 8 is playing cards with Lalo, Nacho, and a few others. Lalo increases the bet and Crazy 8 folds, even though Lalo had the worst possible hand with Crazy 8 having a triple 8. This causes Lalo to call him Loco Ocho, which is Spanish for Crazy 8, and his nickname is Born, even seeing Lalo call him Crazy 8 later on in the episode. This is crazy. I love a good origin story. It was very entertaining to watch. But the thing is, did Crazy 8 really fold because he's a bad player, or did he actually think he was going to win, so he folded on purpose as to not insult Lalo in front of everyone? Didn't want to beat his boss in poker. Do you guys think that Crazy 8 purposely folded and let Lalo win the pot, or was it actually a mistake? So Crazy 8 gets called up about the drugs getting stuck in the pipe and goes to fix it. What happens next is just pure gold. As he gets up there on a ladder, being the only productive one trying to solve the problem, the cops roll up, everyone bounces, and he's stuck on the ladder, so he gets caught. He explains that there's a clog in the pipe and barely taps it twice, causing the bags to just come flying out. The second he went to tap it, I was thinking, no way he's gonna do that, the drugs are gonna fall out, no way, and then sure enough it happens, and it was just perfect timing. Oh my god, this was nuts. I can't believe it actually went down like that, but knowing the luck life gives you sometimes, I actually do kind of believe it. Like, sometimes I have some really good luck, but sometimes I do have some pretty shit luck, and I could see something like this happening. We've also theorized about Crazy 8 getting busted this season, and as we know, he is an informant for the DEA during Breaking Bad, primarily Hank and Gomez's informant, and as we know, Hank and Gomez will be appearing on the show sometime later this season, possibly next episode. So we cut to Nacho and Lalo sitting in Lalo's car watching the drug bust as the dealer Mouse runs into the car saying that cops are crawling everywhere. Lalo gets upset when he hears that the full stash of drugs are still up there, so Nacho does some quick thinking to get it back. Without really explaining, he just gets out, rushes to the apartment building beside the ones with the cops. He climbs up the side, jumps the freaking roof, breaks into the building with the drugs, steals them out of the container in the chair, and yeets out the side window right before the cops bust in. Not sure if they can brush for fingerprints on that box that the drugs were stashed in, but I guess I'll assume not. Anyways, it's just crazy having Nacho get out in time, and I really liked seeing how this played out because, as I said earlier, they confused us in the trailers as well because Nacho getting woken up by Tyrus and Victor was a completely different situation than him grabbing the drugs and escaping, while the trailer teased it to be kind of the same scene, so Also, I'm not sure how much we really had to suspend our disbelief in this scene. I don't really think it's unrealistic that Nacho did that type of, physical movement. I just think it's unrealistic that the cops didn't hear him. I feel like they would have heard him jumping from roof to roof, and I feel like they would have heard him breaking in through the roof and then out through the side window. Meanwhile, Lalo's just munching on food in the car, enjoying the show as if Nacho's on TV. He doesn't really seem to care much about Crazy 8 or Nacho at this point, he's just joking about how Nacho's an idiot who will get himself caught. But then as Nacho makes it out undetected, he seriously impresses Lalo because jumping and hopping around is something that Lalo would have done a la the Travel Wire store last season. So some people think that it's too convenient that this opportunity presented itself right after Gus told Nacho to, impress Lalo, but Nacho is on the lookout for any opportunity possible. It wasn't incredibly obvious that Nacho was going to go do that, but the second that he got out of the car, we knew it was to impress Lalo. An opportunity would have arrived sooner or later, and I feel like this was just saving some time by jumping to that first opportunity. So although Nacho did impress Lalo, he still has a way to go. First off, Lalo allows Nacho to make the call on whether or not to allow the dealers to continue operating on the streets after Crazy 8 got busted at that apartment, but Nacho gives them the go-ahead. Lalo is showing small signs of respect for Nacho by giving him the ability to choose what to do with their dealers, and also by making Nacho lunch and offering to eat it with him. Lalo could have just questioned Nacho about Crazy 8, but he actually offers him lunch, half as a mutual display of respect, but I also feel like it was to manipulate Nacho and get him all cozied up and comfortable before asking him about Crazy 8. And again, Nacho proves to Lalo that he is loyal and that he can be trusted, as Nacho suggests killing Crazy 8 for them right after Nacho admits to Lalo that he's been lifelong friends with Crazy 8 due to their families being friends. Lalo kinda smiles and chuckles at Nacho, knowing that he's willing to kill his innocent best friend for them just cause he got busted, but Lalo says no, that's not necessary, and says he has a better plan. Now this did relieve some stress for me. I know that Crazy 8 survives into Breaking Bad, but it really did feel like Lalo was possibly gonna say yes. This leads us to Nacho picking up Saul at the end of the episode. Was Saul Lalo's idea to get a crooked lawyer to help out with Crazy 8, or is this Nacho's idea to get Crazy 8 out of trouble so we won't have to resort to killing him? I feel like Lalo might have implied something along the lines of getting legal representation, and then Nacho remembers Saul and suggests that you'll go pick him up to meet Lalo. I'm incredibly excited for more Nacho and Saul, as they haven't been on screen together since season 1, which is crazy to think about. And finally, the Mike stuff for this episode. Now, although Mike is my favorite character from Breaking Bad, I'm sorry, but I just think that the scenes with his daughter-in-law and his granddaughter are usually the most boring parts of both shows. That being said, things do get a little bit more interesting compared to usual, as Mike just flips out on his granddaughter Katie for mentioning his son Maddie. I actually have heard that this was some people's favorite scene in the episode, just due to how uncomfortable it makes you. Remember that scene in Breaking Bad Season 5 where Jesse's just awkwardly having dinner with Walt and Skyler, and how it got turned into a meme of how you feel when you were over at a friend's house as a kid while he's getting yelled at by his parents? Well yeah, this Mike and Katie scene gives the same vibes, at least in my opinion. So Mike is still upset over the whole Werner and Gus thing, and we see him waking up with a bunch of empty beer cans hung over, to his landline ringing, and then his cell phone. He answers the second call to his daughter-in-law saying that she needs an emergency babysitter immediately. They did such an amazing job at showing how someone can get roped into something that they don't want to do or shouldn't be doing. Just that whole urgency of, when should I be there? Now? Like, okay lady, screw you, but I'll bite my lip and try and do the right thing, jeez. Just another example of being able to relate to these characters in the show. So Mike shows up with a smile on his face, with a plan of activities, willing to suck it up and be there for his family. What a guy. But when they start talking about Maddie, Mike gets triggered and completely flips out on poor Katie. From the second that she first mentions Maddie liking the Eagles, Mike's first response already seems like he's trying to hold back tears, trying to stop himself from crying. You can hear the crackle in his voice. Great acting, by the way. He tries to brush it off, but then she asks if Maddie was good at math. Again, Mike, probably trying to hold back tears, said he was a smart kid and a good student just like her, and then Katie brings up Maddie becoming a policeman, and if he wanted to do that even when he was her age. Mike tries playing along here, changing the subject, saying that Maddie wanted to be an astronaut or a deep-sea explorer, and then mentions an actual deep-sea explorer and how he'll have to show her sometime. But Katie persistently goes back to talking about Maddie being a police officer. Damn it, child. She says that he decided to be a policeman like Mike, and she she doesn't even understand the significance of what she's saying. There's so many levels to this, it's just amazingly frustrating. Quick recap, Mike was a dirty cop, his son was a clean cop. His son didn't know Mike was dirty until his son himself didn't want to take dirty money, but Mike convinced him to go along with it. Maddie took the dirty money but was killed anyways because the other dirty cops knew that Maddie still felt uncomfortable about it. Mike disappointed Maddie by telling him that he was a dirty cop when his son looked up to him, and then he broke his boy by turning him dirty as well, and then it got him killed anyways. Mike got revenge by murdering the 2 cops that murdered Maddie and then moved to Albuquerque. This is the worst thing that Mike could be thinking about right now, while dealing with all of this Werner and Gus BS, so he just flips out on Katie and it's brutal. Katie even implies that Maddie was a really good policeman, just like Mike taught him, which in Mike's mind implies that Maddie wasn't a dirty cop and that Mike taught him the right way. She then says that the bad guys got him, which again has multiple layers. First off, Mike was a dirty cop, just like the ones who killed Maddie. Second off, Mike is currently becoming a bad guy, becoming a hitman for Gus, currently bothered over having to kill an innocent man, Werner, for similar reasons because he wouldn't keep his mouth shut. Mike now feels like he's at the same level as the people who killed his son if he didn't already. This conversation is just so brutal and deep on so many levels, and on the surface it's literally just a girl asking innocent questions about her father, so you can't get mad at her, right? It's one of those situations where someone's being incredibly annoying or they're in the way, but they don't know that they're being annoying or in the way, so you can't tell them because they mean well, so you just have to put up with it. That was Mike in this situation, and he failed miserably. He talked to her more rudely than when he talked to Walt in his final episode in Breaking Bad, like, geez, you're done, that's it, you're done! And yeah, I know that you can't really get mad at Katie for this, but every time she just kept innocently pushing more and more, I was going like, shut up kid, holy crap, but they're playing it off in a way where Katie doesn't realize that she's pinching a nerve. It makes sense for a kid to want to know more about her father, especially from her grandfather. The thing is, she just says the picture perfect things to get under his skin. It's almost unrealistically perfect how triggering her exact words unintentionally are to Mike. Maybe Katie doesn't know much about her dad other than that him and Mike were both policemen, but the mother should have filled in a few blanks, don't you think? Speaking of which, she should have told Katie in general, hey, don't mention your father to Mike, he's very sensitive about it. Also, definitely never mention how they were police officers or how your father died. Mike is still very upset about this, and we wouldn't want to upset Mike, right? How difficult would that have been to tell her daughter? Does Katie really have no clue to not mention these subjects around Mike? That's just my opinion. Anyways, I believe that we'll see Hank in episode 3 along with Saul meeting Lalo. There's a lot to get excited for. Let me know what you guys thought about the first 2 episodes going into episode 3 tonight down below, and I'll be back on the channel later tonight and tomorrow morning discussing the trailers for episode 4. I'd appreciate a like on the video if you've enjoyed anything I've said today, as I'm always thankful of you guys helping me appease the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe and hit that bell notification for more content on Better Call Saul in the near future. Thank you guys all so much for watching, and until next time, I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.
Did they get him? They must have got... Ignacio Varga. Eres un chingón.